The number one complaint for Medicare Advantage plans is, well, there's actually quite a few, and they could all likely be number one, but we're going to go with this one. The number one complaint about Medicare Advantage plans: pre-authorization. And pre-authorization is something you may have come across before, but it can absolutely make you furious when it happens. And what it is, it's really unbelievable that they're able to get away with doing this, with insurance carriers that run the Medicare Advantage plans have to give permission for something that your doctor says that you need to have done. And it can be minor, it can be major, it can be something that you need pretty much immediately, but can't be done until the doctor gets the approval from the insurance company that they're going to pay for it. And this is absolutely one of the biggest complaints with Medicare Advantage. So scenario may be, you go to the doctor. Let's say you have a pain in your hip and you want to find out exactly what it is, how we're going to fix it, what we're going to do about it. Do I need a hip replacement? Obviously, as we get older, things like that come along. And you go to the doctor, and the doctor wants to investigate further. We need to figure it out. So we need an MRI to be able to see in your hip to what exactly the problem may be. But first, the doctor has to get approval from the insurance company to make sure that they will pay for the MRI, so that once it's done, number one, the doctor gets paid. Number two, you don't have to pay it yourself. And what happens is it can add a week to 10 days, even more than that, before they get approval, before they can then schedule that MRI. And then once they get approval, it can be another week or more before you can get the appointment to have the MRI done. And then once the MRI is done, to get back to the doctor can be another period of time that you just don't have. And this is one of the biggest problems with Medicare Advantage plans. And this pre-authorization thing, it's starting to bubble up in the news, right? I mean, I don't know why, because it's been around forever, but there's a company called Kaiser Family Foundation. They do a lot of research and a lot of statistics on Medicare stuff, Medicare Advantage plans. They just put out an article recently. I'll put the article down in the description, where in 2023, and they can only get information, usually from a couple years ago, because they don't have access to immediate information. But in 2023, there were literally 50 million pre-authorizations on Medicare Advantage plans. So let that sink in a little bit. 50 million. So that's just a massive amount of pre-authorization. So what does that say? It doesn't say that Medicare Advantage is trying to manage things to make sure they get done correctly. They're trying to manage things to get the lowest cost outcome, because they are for-profit companies. And again, this is something that Medicare should absolutely be furious with, and certainly anybody involved in healthcare should be furious with. And what it boils down to from a standpoint, it reminds me of a movie where it was an insurance carrier versus a kid who died, and it was called The Rainmaker, I believe. So where the insurance carrier, it's based on life insurance or health insurance at the time, and their policy was, claim comes in, denied. No matter what, it's denied. And then if the person fights, they may have an opportunity to get it rehashed or reopened, but automatic denials. Now, it's not that way in Medicare Advantage. It's not automatic denials, but this predetermination, pre-authorization kind of is, where if there's a procedure, it cannot be done until you get approval from the insurance company. Again, it should be, if it's medically necessary, it's approved. But in this scenario, no, they have to manually approve it. And when we're talking 50 million pre-authorization determinations, it's just a ridiculous number. So what does that actually break down to? In 2023, it averages out to 2 pre-authorization determinations per every single member in Medicare Advantage. So that's just a crazy number to think about. So 2 on average. So what does that mean? That means a lot of people didn't have any. A lot of people didn't even go to the doctor, so they didn't ever have a pre-authorization determination. So the ones that did are significantly higher than that. There are people that may have had 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 pre-authorization determinations within the time of 2023 for their medical services, where they, again, it just stops everything in its place. You have to go and jump through the hoops to get it paid for, get it okayed, and it's just really not the way it should work. And just understand it. And this is Medicare Advantage. This is not original Medicare. Original Medicare, A and B, does not have this. They do not have pre-authorization determinations on whether they're going to pay for something. With original Medicare, which I always recommend doing whatever you can to stay within original Medicare, because when you need it is when you're going to find out how important it is. But with original Medicare, if your doctor says you need it, you agree with your doctor, it gets done and it gets paid for as long as it's medically necessary, which obviously things are going to run in that fashion with the doctor and yourself. It's paid for. If you need an MRI, a CAT scan, whatever it may be, blood work, it doesn't have to get separately pre-approved through an insurance company. It is automatically covered like it should be with your insurance policy if it's medically necessary. So what happens with these pre-authorization determinations in Medicare Advantage in 2023, those 50 million? So the doctor had to stop everything, fill out a ton of paperwork, send it to the insurance company and say, please, this person needs this, will you please pay for it like you're supposed to pay for it because you are the insurance for this person for their health care. So what happened with these 50 million pre-authorization determinations? So let's break that down just a little bit. So let's take it on the positive side. Of the 50 million, somewhere around 47 million were approved. I guess that's the positive side. 47 million were approved. So why did they need to go through pre-authorization in the first place? It's just to slow things down so that people may not continue to seek that care. Literally, they may just give up and stop and live with whatever they're having to live with. So 47 million were approved, and it just took a much longer period of time to get things done. So more things could go wrong during that time. It could get worse during that time, but 47 million were approved. 3.2 million were denied. So the doctor says you need it, you agree, you know you need it, and the insurance company says, no, we're not going to pay for it. This is what is the problem with Medicare Advantage, is the control. The insurance carrier has the control. You do not have control over how your healthcare is going to function. And that is, again, why I would always do what I can to stay with original Medicare, because original Medicare with a Medicare supplement plan, super low out of pocket. There's no network of doctors you have to use, no network of hospitals you have to use. You can go to any doctor, any hospital, anywhere in the country that accepts Medicare. You don't have to ask for permission. They do not have referrals to go from a primary to a specialist. That's another big complaint on Medicare Advantage. They do not have pre-authorizations. If your doctor says you need something, you agree, then it's done the way it should be done. So the fact that Medicare Advantage gets away with putting these roadblocks and speed bumps in the way of healthcare is just unbelievable. So I don't know where it can go. And right now we have about half the people on Medicare Advantage, half the people on original Medicare. And a lot of people will say their Medicare Advantage is fantastic. It saved their life. It's done this and that. And it's certainly possible. But there are way too many instances where it gets in the way and it prevents things from happening that should happen, and certainly things that you want to have happen when you need it to be done. So now get this as a stat. So we've got the 50 million pre-authorization determinations that have to go to the insurance company. 3.2 million denied. So what happens then? A lot of people just throw up their hands and go, oh, what are you going to find something else? But you can appeal that pre-authorization. Like, you should have to do that. It should be on you now to appeal it, but that's the way it goes. So of those 3.2 million, 11, almost 12% were appealed. So that's a very small number, and it's unfortunate. The larger portion, that's too many people giving up and not going the extra mile to fight for their health care, which again, they shouldn't have to do. But so 12% were appealed. Out of that 12% that were appealed, 82% were overturned. That's just screaming a number that tells you something's not right. So meaning they should never have been denied in the first place. So it's just putting this extra process in front of you. And again, if you're in a health situation the last thing you want to be doing is fighting to get stuff paid for and to get stuff approved and to do what your doctor thinks you need to do. So again, to me, it's mind-numbing. It just doesn't make any sense. We have 50 million pre-authorization determinations in 2023. So something's very, very wrong with this process, and I'm not sure if it's going to get fixed anytime soon. So just beware of how it functions and just know ahead of time going into your doctor, and hopefully your doctor don't want to deal with this either. They have way better things to do than to have their whole front office staff going back and forth with Medicare Advantage companies trying to get paid for what they're wanting to do to help you get out of your health situation. So anyway, I'm happy to help with all this. This is what we do. I would not help you with a Medicare Advantage plan. I would be more than happy to help you with original Medicare supplements. That's what we do. I get 0 customer service phone calls. Don't get any of these denials. Don't get any of these pre-authorizations. People are happy. It gets done the way it's supposed to be done. And that's all we can really hope for. So that's the way it should be. So I hope you found this helpful. Have a fantastic day.